Okay, so after clearing the drones and the other gondola, you want to set yourself up for the redirect fly. My lineup is I crouch and I line up the left part of my foot with the leftmost part of this sort of brown lump. So where the brown meets the grey, the rightmost part of your left foot should line up with it, like so. So just copy that. I know a few other people use different lineups, but that is mine. So once we're lined up, you should get a checkpoint just before you get in range to get a red reticle off these enemies. So on Hail to Anniversary, you want to fly off the rightmost jackal. If you hit the fly first or second try, you will make it to the fuel rod. If you miss a couple of times, you want to instead go off the leftmost jackal. So what's happening here is that we're redirecting our body off of the corner of this. So the more left the enemies are on the structure, the further left you will go off the fly. So as we get close to the structure, we want to go further left in order to land on the balcony. So if you miss a couple of attempts on this guy, move to this guy. If you then miss a couple of attempts on this guy, go off the grunt. So grunt is sort of like the ultimate backup strat. You shouldn't never really need to use him, but yeah, if you miss a few flies off of these two, you should be able to make it off of the grunt. So that's around the timing that the grunt will work. That's pretty much it for redirect fly. Just make sure that you can YXR and you'll make it. Since I want these tutorials to be helpful for all versions, if you're on Hail 2 Classic, there's nothing to worry about. Just go off the jackal straight away and you'll make it to the balcony, no problem, with the same lineup. Okay, so the next big fly on this level is camo fly. In this section, there are multiple enemies with camo. A camo enemy doesn't give you red reticle, so you can't sword fly off these guys. However, for the first few frames where you see them with camo, they will give you a red reticle. So hopefully I can get one. You just saw that for a quick second, yeah. Very brief. So I got this checkpoint by killing the hunters here. Usually you won't have a checkpoint. So the strategy here is to actually shoot before you come around the corner. So there's camouflage grunts that spawn here. They won't come out until you head down the ramp. Or if you shoot here, they'll come out early. So if you shoot, they'll come out, and then you can just sword fly off them. By shooting as well, it also makes the elite stand still. So I'm a little bit slow because I stood still for this checkpoint. But if you're coming through here at full speed, by shooting here, the elite will stand still, and you'll have red reticle on him for about a second and a half. In which you can hit the fly. Like, I should have hit it there, but choking. So there you go, you can also hit it off the elite. So what I suggest is shooting here, attempting a fly off the elite. If you miss, just aim left or right of this ramp, and grunts will come at both sides. The timing for when they come is a little bit random. They'll come at one side almost immediately. Sometimes the other side will be delayed. So just check both if you're not getting spawns. But yeah, this just allows you to hit a fly across this room and save some time. Obviously, ideally, you want to hit it off the elite because he's more central and you can potentially go all the way to the door. Whereas the grunts grounded at the side of these ramps, and so you won't get as good of a fly. But yeah, that's camo fly. Okay, so the last big sword trick on this level is what we call mountain cancel. Following the second underwater section, we jump over here. Sword cancel over this guy. If you do not touch him, none of these grunts will alert, and it will allow you to get a checkpoint here. And then mountain cancel involves cancelling off these drones or potentially an elite. Or potentially nothing. The spawn is completely random. Due to me standing still on this checkpoint, I'll probably have to go and grab another checkpoint. But that's essentially what we're going to be doing. we're going to be sword cancelling off the enemy here, but we're going to be redirecting ourselves off of this wall so we get more vertical height, which allows us to go over this mountain. I'm going to quickly get a new checkpoint so I can show. Okay, so I said if none of the grunts wake up, we can get a checkpoint. You can also get this by lunging into him. None of these guys will wake up. It's slightly slower than cancelling over his head, but it is much easier. So I'd suggest this. You definitely don't want these grunts to ever wake up, because not only will it prevent a checkpoint, but these guys shooting at you will alert the enemies in the next section, and their movement will be affected and prevent you from potentially getting the cancel. So if I walk here, I should get a checkpoint. So this is considered to be one of the better spawns. That is an example of mountain cancel. So I've got a checkpoint here. So what I want to do is I want to jump. So there I cancelled too late. This is very tight on timing. There I cancelled quite nicely. So essentially, if I cancel too early, that'll happen. I'll be above the wall and I won't redirect at all. If I cancel too late, that will happen. So you want to get your timing perfectly. The timing for this is slightly after you start to drop. That's when you want to go. So you can, depending on the angle, depending on what enemy spawn you get, will depend where you land. If you land on the mountain itself, I suggest jumping here and doing a slide jump down to here, and then just heading to the button. Alternatively, you may go all the way over, as I think I did in the very first cancel. So yeah, all there is to this is do a sword cancel, which is lunge, reload, and jump at the perfect timing. You don't want to crouch, and yeah, the timing is just after you start to drop, hit the cancel. So this cancel saves quite a lot of time, because walking around this huge structure is pretty slow. So it's pretty much always worth going for. If you have a checkpoint, you can revert a couple times and still save time over walking. So I definitely suggest going for it. As you've seen there, I'm not the best at it, but it's definitely plausible to be 100% consistent at it. The timing isn't too difficult. The only thing that will affect your consistency is the spawns, which, as I mentioned earlier, are random. Okay, so I'm going to show you now how to do the Oracle pressure launch using this elevator. It saves quite a bit of time. It also makes you invincible for the second half of the level, so it's really important on Legendary. And on Legendary we still use it as it saves time. So this trick is pretty easy, to be honest. I'm just going to talk through the mechanics of it. So you follow this path to get up to the elevator. Camo here so these sentinels don't fuck with you. So you press the button once to send it up, and again to bring it back down. All you do then is stand completely still here, and you'll get launched up. So once you get up here, you can sword fly to this guy, or you can simply just push yourself in the air to land next to this cable. So in terms of when you want to push the button, obviously if you like double tap it, there's not enough room for you to actually fit under the elevator. But you want to bring it down again reasonably quick. So maybe contrary to what you'd expect, the further the elevator travels upwards before coming back down, the lower the height you'll get on the launch. So if you want to go higher, you want to press the button the second time earlier. So I just go for sort of an intermediate, just as it like passes above my head, and that should give you a nice height and speed. So I always try to sword fly off this guy personally, but perhaps an alternate strat, if you get enough height you can land on top of the cable, and by swording this block you can actually damage the cable. So you can just land up there and sword that 3 times, or just sword it once on the way past and sword this a couple times to finish it off. You are now invincible. As you can see, these FUD are beating me. Sentinels are shooting me. I'm taking no damage. So you want to continue, cut all 3 cables. So on the 3rd cable, when you cut it, you want to make note of the time. So 1, 2. As you cut the 3rd one, make note of your timer, because 12 seconds after you cut that cable is when you want to drop. So you come back to elevator, it's obviously not here, so we have to drop. I don't know if that was 12 seconds, that was roughly. So the gravity that you have for the rest of the level depends on when you drop there. So if you drop too early, you'll have the least optimal gravity. If you drop too late, you'll have the exact same issue. So 12 seconds is sort of the perfect point for that. So it's just really important to know 12 seconds and you can go. When you're falling in low gravity, make sure to always be mashing crouch, as it makes you fall much quicker. I'll just play on a little bit, so you can jump and cancel off these sentinels for maximum speed if you get the spawns. It's not too difficult with the low gravity. I'm just going to continue briefly because I want to explain the next section as well. So, about to go into a room where there's sentinels and flood fighting again. If we kill 1 flood and 1 sentinel, we will get sentinel spawns in the next room. So just shoot a flood and shoot the sentinel that spawns from that tube. This will cause us to get camo at this door, and we'll have sentinels in this room. So hug this right wall, and then turn to left and jump and crouch, and you can make it up to here. It's not the easiest jump in the world, but if you try to do it like this, oh, I managed to get it. On H2A you have slightly higher jump height, but it's a little bit tricky, so I just tend to hug the right wall and then jump up. Says that as he chokes it, but yeah, just hug the right wall and jump and crouch up. If you camo before you come in these rooms, these sentinels will be completely still, and you'll be able to do a sword cancel off of them to get you close to that door. So I just want to explain that jump and how to spawn these sentinels briefly. And I think that's it for Oracle. The rest is pretty straightforward. Just watch a good runner's run and try to copy their movement. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is the starting sword fly for the level Arbiter. First I'll show you how to kill these guys, nade that guy, stick that guy, stick this guy and grab the beam from him, and then shoot the grunt. It requires 2 body shots on easy or 1 headshot. So behind this door there's an elite and 2 grunts. The grunts will spawn in random positions. There's 4 positions from which you can fly off the grunts. So this is one position, the next one is here, and the other 2 positions are right here and here. So there's essentially a rectangle. They can spawn at any of the 4 corners. So it's important to know which side the grunts are spawning on, as it is random, but there is a way for us to find this out, so that's what I'll show you next. Okay, so how to know which grunt spawn you have. So there's going to be a loading done in a second here. Just after this, the elite will spawn on our radar. After you see him, shoot your beam rifle. So when you shoot your beam rifle, you alert the grunts. See how they're no longer sleeping. If you have the spawn here, the grunt will show on your radar. So if you see a red spot on your radar to the right, you know that you have the right spawn. You must go then to the right and perform the sword fly. If you do not see that red dot, you will be guaranteed a grunt spawn on the left, either here or here. So that's how the runners know which side to go here every single time. You either see this guy on your radar, or if you see nobody on your radar, it's left. So on this I actually had 1 guy left and 1 guy right, but because it was the back right guy, we're guaranteed 1 grunt in either of these 2 spawns. So hopefully that makes sense. If you get the red dot on the right, go right. If you don't get any red dot, go left. Okay, so now that we know how to know exactly what spawns we're getting, I'll show you again. Shoot. Oh, we see a red dot on the radar to the right. That means we got the right grunt spawn. So I'm going to come to the right. Camo, put your back all the way against this wall. Jump and sword fly. So you see that I didn't make it over there. That's a result of not jumping immediately. So with this sword fly, you want to hit the sword fly combination and immediately jump. If you have the grunt that's closest to you, so one of the two close spawns, you need to jump literally like within half a second of hitting the sword fly combination. If you have the one at the back, you have a little bit more time to hit the jump. And yeah, if you hit it successfully, you'll carry momentum over the little structure here and land down here. So I'll show that now. So there we go, that's how I hit it. So the second part to this fly is your landing. So there I only carry momentum to here. That is a poor fly. What you want to do is you want to hold crouch when you land. Let yourself slide down for about half a second and then jump. You should carry momentum down to about here, and then you can land here. If you jump immediately, you'll land here, which isn't bad at all as well. You can just walk down here. But I'd say the optimal strategy is to delay the jump a little bit so that you can land here. Obviously the issue with this is, if you delay the jump by not enough, you will land in this gap where you will fall to your death, and you will guarantee lose your run. You do not have any checkpoints from the start of the level. So just play with it. You can jump immediately to be safe and land here, or you can delay your jump just enough so you land around here. And you can just walk down, drop down to the left or to the right, depending on which grunt spawn you got. So this fly is very difficult. I imagine it's going to be even harder on PC. So I'm going to show a couple alternate strats here. First one is the plasma rifle strat. You don't have to zoom in. The red reticle is a bit bigger, so it makes it a little bit easier, perhaps. So we do the exact same thing, except for we have a plasma rifle. So unfortunately I got a box spawn there. Box is completely RNG and it will block your path and you will lose time to it. But yeah, so yeah, as I just showed there, you do the exact same thing, you just don't have to zoom in with the plasma rifle. So the problem is, if you get the front spawns, it's great, you can have your back all the way against this wall. If you get only the back spawn, you will not get red reticle from the wall. The red reticle range isn't far enough on the plasma rifle, so you'll have to nudge yourself forward a little bit and then hit the fly. It can make it a little bit tricky. You don't want to. If you move forward too much, then you may struggle to get a jump off quick enough to get all the way over. So that is the one issue with plasma rifle fly. But majority of the times you will get a front spawn. If you get the right spawn, he's obviously always at the front, because that's the only way you can see him on the radar. So yeah, the plasma rifle is a good alternative. It's worth playing with if you struggle with the scoped in flies, especially with the beam having such a small reticle. So that's one alternative strat. Okay, so the other alternate strat is a sword cancel. So this one's a little tricky, but it is consistent and you do not have to hit a fly. So after seeing the elite's red dot on the radar, melee and then shoot. This gets the elite in the perfect spot in terms of your timing. So sorry if, let me explain that again. So I melee and then shoot. So I'm alerting the elite at the exact point at which he is stood in a nice spot for me to cancel off of his head. So then you just want to hit a normal cancel. It's not the easiest. I can't really give too much advice other than what I tend to do is jump, and as I start to drop, then hit the sword cancel combination. So lunge, reload, and jump. You want to be at max range from the elite, so jump. As you start to drop, shoot, reload, and jump. It's not quite as fast as the fly, but it's it's easier in the sense that you don't have to hit a sword fly. So that is a really nice alternative strat to know about. It's definitely worth playing with if you struggle with sword flies, and it really doesn't lose that much time to the sword fly at all. For this strat in general, if you struggle with both variations of the strat, you can literally just walk and you will only lose 6 to 7 seconds, maybe 8 seconds versus a really good fly getting to this button. So don't worry about it too much for full game especially, but in terms of going for a good IL time, I'd highly suggest this strat, and hopefully this helped for that. Okay, so for the last part of this video, I'm gonna show and explain everything you need to do for the second half of Gravemind, the post-prison skip section. So this section of the game is probably the most skill intensive of the entire speedrun, at least on easy. So as a result, when I was trying to record for this, get the gameplay, and for all my tutorials I play and record commentary at the same time. But for this it was really difficult to play well and explain well at the same time because it's so intensive. So instead I'm using gameplay from Nails. This is the IL world record for Gravemind of 5:47, which is actually from 2018. It's a really good run. He plays this section really well, so it's really easy for me to talk over. And since 2018, there's still only 2 players that have a sub 6-minute Gravemind. This is a really good run. So I'm just letting it play in the background, just so I have something there whilst I explain this stuff. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through his gameplay. I'm gonna explain what he's doing, what he's inputting, how you can basically mimic this gameplay. I'm gonna pause at times for better explanations. I'm gonna pause at times to explain where you can do alternate strats, and yeah, hopefully this goes a little bit better than what happened when I tried to record my own gameplay for this. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm sorry for rambling. So you do prison skip, and you should have a beam rifle and a secondary weapon. Get rid of your secondary weapon for the sword at the top of this lift. So here, this is the only bit I don't like from Nails. There's 3 elites that come out of the store. You can sword cancel off the left elite or the right elite. So on Legendary, we do a jump cancel off the right elite. This gives us the most speed through this section. So there's a trigger just beyond this door, and if you go through the trigger fast enough, you can deload the enemies in the next section. If you want to know what I mean by that, go watch a Legendary run from a top runner. They'll go really fast here and skip these 2 elites. So on easy, the best strat here is to in fact cancel off the left elite. You can do a jump cancel or just a cancel from the floor like Nails attempts here, and you can carry a lot of momentum and get really close to these elites, but you very rarely deload them. So that's what I'd suggest to do there. So next he does a drone cancel, which is a strat invented by myself. For this, you essentially want to crouch. So he crouches at this door. So the drones are above him; they're flying. Now you want to cancel under the drones. So usually when we cancel, we do sword lunge plus reload plus jump. You do not want to jump for this because you want to go under them. So you just press sword lunge and reload, and you should be able to carry momentum underneath the drone. There's another one later in the level which is more important than that one, but they're both really important. So then he cancels off the brutes here. So there's 2 brutes, there's a left brute and a right brute. Here you can see the left brute, if you get a good enough cancel off the drone, the left brute will still be moving. So a thing that I'm going to mention a few times for this section is mid-air stops. If an enemy is moving, whether you're cancel or fly, you will mid-air stop above them. So this left brute is often moving if you get a good enough cancel off the drones. As a result, you do not want to cancel off him. Always cancel off the right brute there. The right brute also gives you a good angle to the door as seen. So next strat is hunter fly. So this barrier you can see here, right above where he's aiming right now, there's a little bump that sticks out on the barrier. You can crouch jump onto this bump and then jump up off it to get an angle on the hunter. you can then sword fly off the hunter and jump. If you struggle with these jumps, you can just go to the right of it and do the same thing. But this is the fastest strat. Also, if I pause right here, in the bottom left corner you can see there's another hunter. That hunter spawns there pretty much all the time. If you struggle with sword flyers, which I know are an issue on PC, you can do a sword cancel off that left hunter and still make your way up towards the door, and it won't lose very much time versus this fly. So just bear that in mind if you struggle with sword flyers, you can cancel off the left hunter. So he jumps, hits the fly, and then jumps again to make it over the barrier. So this is the jackal fly. It's probably the fly which saves the most time on this level. It's a really clean one from Nails. So the main things you're going to encounter with this fly is this sword elite here is always fighting the brute. So he's swinging melees at the brute with his sword. Now the sword hitbox is basically a bubble around the elite. Imagine it a big ball around the elite. No matter where he aims, it's a ball around him. So if you're above him, he's going to still hit you. And since you're flying past him, he can backsmack you here, and on an easy that will one-shot you. So basically you do not want to be above this elite's head. So if we fly from the ground here to the sniper jackal, we're going to get caught in the hitbox of the sword elite. So if he swings at the correct time, and I promise you he will swing at the correct time so often, you will die. So as you see here, Nails jumps before he hits this fly. That gives him enough height to pass over the elite without having to worry about getting sworded. So this is the fastest strat, jump and do a fly off the jackal. So now as you're flying off the jackal, there's a tree. It's difficult to see here. Am I not even in HD? I am. There's a rotten tree that's around the bottom of the screen right now. It's hard to see, but essentially as soon as you pass by that tree, you want to hit jump again. That'll allow you to carry momentum over this wall like so. If you hit jump too early, you'll gain too much height, and when you land, you will die to full timer. So you want to time the jump perfectly. By the rotten tree, you'll see it when you play yourself, is where you want to fly. So, as I mentioned, the sword elite is a problem. Like Nails does here, you can jump and then do a sword fly down the middle to avoid that. An alternate strat is to just go right here. Maybe I'll put like a circle or something in the editing software to show where I mean. But if you just go to the right here and avoid the sword elite altogether, you don't have to do a jump and then fly. I know jumping and flying is a bit more mechanically intensive, so it might make it a little bit harder. So if you go to the right here, you can avoid the sword elite altogether. It's a bit of a safer strat for full game. The fastest strat is what Nails does here. He jumps. So as you land here, you want to just crouch like a couple seconds before you land and just hold crouch, and it'll carry momentum all the way down to this door on H2A anyway. So that bit was probably the most crazy part of the level. There's a lot going on. So here there's another fly off this jackal. So this fly, another reason why this was hard to record for by myself, by the way, is because there's like no checkpoints on this level. So don't die, basically. If you die to that sword elite, you would go all the way back to the prison usually. So be really careful. So here there's a jackal. He can spawn on the left or the right of the little barrier straight ahead. Keep an eye out for him. You can do a little sword fly off him as Nails does here to save some time, but it's not necessary and it doesn't save very much. We then jump up onto the barrier, jump onto this little bridge, and then jump all the way up here. So this fly you may hear runners refer to as lag fly. That's because this section is incredibly laggy on OG Halo 2. It's not too bad on H2A. So for lag fly, you want to hold crouch when you're on this block before you hit the fly. You then want to shoot the elite once to stun him in place. Stunning him in place allows you to hit the fly, because otherwise he just runs forward to this brute and he gets out of red reticle range, hiding behind the little barrier. So shoot him like so. It also stuns him in place, so you can potentially carry momentum like Nails just did there. If he begins to move, or you can force a mid-air stop yourself by looking directly down. you won't carry momentum over this. You'll just stop here or here. Stopping either of these spots is good for full game. Because carry momentum here can be a little bit scary. Sometimes you can bounce around and lose yourself, and also potentially skip a trigger. So for full game, I recommend shooting, holding crouch. Always hold crouch here. I can't express how important it is. And then hit the fly. So the whole reason why Nails floats across the air like this instead of flying down towards the elite in direction is because he holds crouch. That's what the reason we crouch for. So in full game, I'd recommend starting to look directly down at this point. This will cause you to mid-air stop above the elite, which will cause you to stop right here, which will just make it nice and safe here. So yeah, the next fly is this brute fly. You want to be left or right of the lift here. Well, ideally left, because the brutes come out to the left. So if we're in the center, we'll get sucked into the lift's passage, and that will force us to ride the lift, which is a little bit slower than what you move when you're sword flying. So we want to come to the left. It also allows us to carry momentum beyond the brutes. So on Halo 2 Classic, you'll always just carry momentum there if you jump at the end. On H2A, as Nails does here, we shoot the brutes to hold them still, and then jump, and it prevents any mid-air stops, and you can carry momentum to the door. So here comes another drone cancel. Again, crouch, press lunge and reload at the same time. Don't press jump. And you will lunge underneath him. Jump once you get about a third of the way through the room, so about like here, like you'll see he jumps, and that allows you to carry momentum all the way to the door. And then you can fly off those guys if you're feeling a bit of swag, but it really doesn't save much time, and quite often they'll be slow. So I know a lot of people struggle with this drone cancel, but it's literally press lunge plus reload. Just tap it and you will carry momentum beyond. If you struggle with that for whatever reason, you can on H2A, but if this drone is not moving, if you sword lunge at him and spam jump, you will kill him and carry momentum past him. So that's an alternate strat if you can't do the cancel. Again here, so these brutes sometimes make it to the door and you can fly off them for a second of time save. Oh, I feel like I've talked so much. This is why this was so hard to record for live. I've had to rewind so many times to explain stuff, so I'm glad I did it this way. So here, literally just walking. You can jump on the box, like Nails does here, and jump up to the upper section. Jump quite late off the box there, so you don't bang your head. Right here, there are grunts that spawn on the bottom. If you're going for like world record, you might want to consider this strat. When they spawn, they stand completely still for about half a second. If you can get over their head with a sword fly within the first half of a second, you can carry momentum all the way over this section. There's some examples online. If you just search for grunt fly, maybe I'll link it in description, or I'll show one actually. I know that Rep has a video, so I'll show one right now.
The elites are falling back to the mausoleum. Fools! There are nothing for them now.
Okay, so yep, that's grunt fly. It's an alternate strat. I wouldn't suggest going for it in full game because 99% of the time you're gonna mid-air stop because hitting the fly fast enough is really hard. There's not really much here. He's just walking forward, so jump into this lift. If you just walk here, see how he jumps. If you just walk here in full game, you'll often get a checkpoint. So don't jump on melee here to try to get yourself the checkpoint. So 3 brutes come out of this door. I'm not sure what Nails is going to do here, but I like to shoot the first one that comes out. If you shoot him, he holds completely still. It just gives you a couple of extra attempts at sword flying on him before he moves. Otherwise, you just have to be really quick. He got a bit unlucky there, bumped the brute. There's not really much you can do that if the brute's get in your way. So this is the redirect fly on this level. So essentially, I don't know if you can see that I don't know if it's obvious, but the wall directly in front of Nails right now is what he's redirecting off. So if he flies straight to the grunt, he's gonna go like to the right, and that's not where we want to land. We want to get to this door. So you want to position yourself just to the left of this box with plasma rifles in it. If you're just hugging the corner of the box, then look for the grunt. There should be a grunt or two that spawn here. Very rarely they're not there. You can then hit a sword fly on him. You don't have to press anything else. You'll just redirect off the wall and get up to this door. There's a cancel off this elite. So there's a couple of ways at doing this. You can lunge through him on H2A and spam jump just to kill him, and you'll carry momentum through the sword lunge. Or you can cancel. So Nails does a strat here which I also like, is you jump and then hit the cancel. You like bounce off him. If you spam, you have to spam jump here. So essentially what he's doing is jumping, so he's got a higher angle, then hitting sword cancel, which is lunge plus reload plus jump, and then spamming jump. So as soon as he hits the elite, he jumps off him and carries that momentum through over the barrier. If you shoot the camo guy, he has a red reticle. You can potentially do a fly there, which is what Nails attempted and failed. It saves like a second. Pick up the fuel rod, which is on the floor just to the left here. You can see it right here. You really want to grab this, it's really important. And then just run through this room. You will very often get a checkpoint right here. He didn't get one. And then this is bridge fly. So bridge fly, he gets, so basically, let me explain. This door, behind this door, there's 2 jackals and 1 brute. Often when they spawn, the jackals will open both of these doors. As you can see here, they're in range of the door, so it opens. So Nails can fly through here. This is not 100%. Sometimes they won't open the doors. So you just want to fly to them and then jump and fly off of the elite there. For full game, I highly suggest just shooting both of these jackals and the brute, because these guys can shoot you when you attempt the next fly and de-scope you, and you need to hit it fast, otherwise you're gonna have to walk. So this elite climbs on the box, as you're seeing here. You need to sword fly on him on the first or potentially second attempt if you're fast. Otherwise, as soon as he climbs on it, he jumps back down and hides behind it again. It's very odd. I don't know why Bungie made him do that, but they did. So jump, hit the sword fly, and immediately jump. I actually timed this perfectly. You can see the red reticle with the sword here. So that's what's happening when you're sword flying. You're pressing switch weapon, reload, and then you get 1 frame of red reticle. Or 1 tick, sorry, of red reticle. So yeah, he's hitting a sword fly off this elite. You need to hit it first or second try. An alternate strat for this is what we do on Legendary. So to the right here, you can't quite see him, he's just out of shot. But to the right, there is a sniper jackal. Now if you kill this sniper jackal, one of the elites will always get on the turret that's in the middle of the bridge that you can see there. And then you can just do a sword fly off the turret guy. So that's potentially an easier strat. Yeah, there's quite a lot to this bridge fly. Hopefully I explained that well enough. Jump, hit the fly first try. Then you can shoot these boxes so they don't get in your way. You can actually splatter on these boxes if you're going fast enough, so be really careful. Shoot them to move them out of the way. And then it's the final room. So I wasn't gonna talk about the final room, but I may as well whilst we're here. There is 3 elites, 2 brutes, 2 hunters, and potentially 2 drones. So we focus the elites first, and then the hunters, and then the brutes. If the brutes die before the elites, you get 3 more brute spawns that have to die before you can finish the level. So that's, we sword fly to the elite. You just want to backsmack them. You can kill them with 1 stick on easy, or as you saw there, 1 fuel rod into a sword lunge. Then hunters die in 2 fjord shots, and then each brute dies in 1 fjord shot. So Nail's got really lucky here. The 2 drones that spawn in this room will fly into the ceiling and kill themselves sometimes. That's what happened on this run. It's not 100% consistent. Often you will have to kill the drones. If you have to kill the drones, again, make sure you kill them before you kill the brutes. Leave the brutes till last to ensure you don't get any reinforcement brutes. But yeah, that's the final room. Kill 3 elites, hunters 2 fjord shots each, and then just clean up the brutes. And then 30 seconds after Cortana spawns, the level will end. That is Gravemind. Hopefully I've explained everything there. I'm sorry that there's a lot that I spoke about. It is a really complicated level, but hopefully I helped a lot. Yeah, thanks for watching. I think this is the final tutorial. I may make a part 4 with some IL strats, but I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover, so hope you enjoyed them. Thanks for watching.